Hello and welcome, everyone. Today we are going to have an idioma workshop on Whiteboard.Fi or Whiteboard.Fi. If you want to follow along at your own pace with these slides, which I know sometimes can be really helpful, please go to tinyurl.com/idioma Whiteboard.Fi. So feel free to do that if that is easier for you. And also after this presentation, if you want to reference anything in the presentation, please feel free to do that. So the first thing we're going to start out, I love doing the top 10 tips. I think it's nice to just kind of see an overview and just see some fun tips about a tool before we use it. So Whiteboard.Fi is basically a virtual whiteboard. I've been teaching remote since March 2020, and I have to say something I really miss is having every student have a whiteboard. I think there's just something great about it. Everyone's participating. I know everyone's engaged. And I really felt that missing last spring. I was so excited when I found Whiteboard.Fi because I felt like this could really help. So here are some tips. This is my number one. If you are writing in a text, it should say text box. Clearly, I'm thinking about textbooks. Click outside of it to make it visible. So it has this little G thing and the dotted line. It's not showing to your students. You have to click outside of that. Similarly, when your students are writing something in Whiteboard.Fi, they have to click out of the text box too. If they don't, you can't see their work. Because as I was doing today with Whiteboard.Fi, I had a student saying, "Mrs. Lamb, why can't you see my work?" I said, "Did you click outside the box?" He said, "Oh, no." I said, "Okay, why don't you do that?" And then I could see his work. And so that's my number one trick is make sure you click outside the box. Next, create your slides in advance so that you can share them. So these are some slides that I created in advance. My students can only see this one. They can't see the little eye with the slash through it. That means they can't see it. So those are slides they can't see, but they're slides that I will show them later on. But what I'll do is I use the free version of Whiteboard.Fi. So my board is live for 2 hours. So I'll go in during my prep period and I'll have already made a bunch of slides and I'll make sure it's all lined up for class. Now you can save slides. So what I do is I make them all in Google Docs or something, and then I put all the information on there just in case I lose it. But you can actually save the slides as well as pictures if you're using them as pictures. Some of mine are a little more interactive than that, so I have to save them in other ways, but it's usually pretty easy. Next, use screenshots. There is a functionality to upload a PDF. However, that is for the paid version. I currently have the free version, so I use screenshots. I use screenshots liberally for just about everything when I'm doing Google Slides, when I'm doing Google Jamboard, when I'm doing Google Drawing, and now when I'm doing Whiteboard.Fi. So use this little button to upload a screenshot. And the reason that you can do screenshots and you can't do web searches is because you're uploading it right from your computer. So what I would suggest is if you have several pictures that or if you want to put on text or if you want to put on icons or anything you want to put on there, I would put in advance in a folder on your computer so that you know that you can upload those as pictures. So basically screenshot anything you want to upload as a picture, save it to a file, and then when you're coming to that lesson, make sure you add it as a picture. One of my favorite parts, honestly, about Whiteboard.Fi is that students can respond with writing, text, emoji, and images. Again, I encourage my students to do screenshots just like I do for images. But I really like the freedom that students have. Some of my students have tablets, and so they actually just write with their finger. Sometimes that's better for them. Sometimes they prefer typing, and I have some students that have typing accommodations. So having something where students can type on a whiteboard feature is so valuable because I feel like it just makes it more accessible. Also, emoji responses. I don't know about you, but my students love responding with emojis, especially the sillier the better. And there are some really silly emojis on this one. And so it's pretty nice that they get to do that and express themselves in that way. I, in fact, had a game where I had students illustrating sentences from a text where they had to use only emojis. And they became very creative with that. So it was fun. Oh, I skipped a tip. There we go. Use a student search to find student whiteboards. So as you're going through, you'll be able to see your students' whiteboards. If there's a student that you're looking for, so for example, in my class of 17, sometimes there's a particular student, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen their answers in a while. And so I will look for students by typing in their names. When they log on to Whiteboard.Fi, they don't have to log in with an email, but they do have to put their names. Next, you can also save teacher and student boards as images. So after you're finished with the whiteboard, if you want to save it for later, again, I have a little folder where I'll keep them all. You can save it as a PNG. This is better for when you're saving it on your phone, a JPEG, an SVG, or even a PDF, which I think can be really valuable as well. Especially if you want to upload something to, let's say you're uploading them to Google Drive, I would say probably PDFs are the easiest way to do this. Next, you can push your board to students. And here, oh, look at Maureen. Maureen has been idle for a while. She has a slash through her. I know she's not paying attention. Maybe she's playing a game. Maybe her internet's not so great. So I can see that Maureen is really, she needs to pay better attention. But what this is the student whiteboard will have the same thing on your whiteboard if you push your board to the students. So it's almost like having a digital worksheet where you can see students working all at once. As I've said to several of my colleagues, I don't think I'm going back to worksheets. I think I'm using something like Whiteboard.Fi because rather than circulating the room and kind of seeing how students are doing on their worksheet, I can just look on my computer screen and see what students are doing. And that's really valuable. And I can give them feedback right away on that in the classroom. So that can be really useful. Next, you can move text and pictures back and forth using these directions so things can be layered on top of each other. So that can be really useful if you want students to put labels on a picture. You can put that picture as the background so that students can move the labels on it. I'll show you how to do this in a bit. Next, you can change the color by using the palette. You can change the color of the text and you can change the color of the drawing as well as the shapes. So there's a lot of things you can change the colors of, and you can see that there are a lot of different colors that you can choose. Finally, you can use tools to change the fonts and the lines. I really like using Arial font because I find this to be very accessible for my students, but there's also Times New Roman, and there's one more, I can't remember, I think Cambria, I'm not sure. And you can also change the line style. You can make it a solid line, you can make it a dotted line, you can make it a dashed line, and you can change the colors of the text and the lines. I find this really useful, especially when you're doing text annotation, so that my students can underline different words in different colors, or they can type different things in different colors, just depending on how they want to do it. Okay, that was a lot of information. I know you probably have some questions, but before I answer them, let's go try out a Whiteboard.Fi. So please go to this link, Whiteboard.Fi/G64C6. And for those of you watching this later on, this Whiteboard.Fi will no longer be live. So don't try going to this, but I will gladly show you what I'm going to do with this. So let's go to this link. So here I am the teacher, and look at all of these whiteboards I have to share with my students. And here's that Maureen. Ooh, she hasn't been paying attention, that Maureen. Can you all see the whiteboard, the Whiteboard.Fi whiteboard? Can I get a thumbs up if you can see the whiteboard? Okay, awesome. All right, so please sign in when you get an opportunity. Go to Whiteboard.Fi and the code is G64C6. Oh, awesome, thank you, Elisa. Okay, so what I can do from here is I can actually push my whiteboard to other people. So it looks like Elisa's gonna be my guinea pig here. So this is just one of many things. So I'm gonna push this whiteboard to Elisa, and you can push to just the current page so they don't get everything at once as well. So now Elisa has, or should soon, have access, and now she does, look, she has access to the bingo board. And now she can, oh, now I'm drawing instead of doing the right thing. Whoopsie doopsie. I have to change it to this. So now she can move the little tokens to different parts of the bingo board. And it won't let me just, yeah, let's get rid of you. Delete. So now she can do this too. We can all do that. And so we can all move it around. Here, Dawn, I'll push it to you as well. There you go. And so the way I made these little dots is you can make squares and you can make it pretty colors if you want. And you can make dots or circles. And you can make it lots of different colors. You can also make it clear, which I'll show you about later. All right, so this is my first thing. So I'm gonna go back to this for a second. We're gonna go over my top 10 types of Whiteboard.Fis. These are the different types of Whiteboard.Fi slides that I like to use. First, the bingo board that I just showed you. And again, I put on those little circles so that students can move those circles to their boards. It looks like I moved so that it says bingo behind it. Next, fly swatter. My students are crazy for fly swatter, but when I had them play individually, they were all accusing each other of cheating. So now I have them play fly swatter on Whiteboard.Fi, and I just say whether or not they got the answer right. It's no longer about speed. And I felt like the speed wasn't super accessible for some students too, who just either don't move their fingers as quickly or really just don't have the same internet speed as other students. So I found it to be more accessible if I gave them a fly swatter board and had them move their own fly swatter and just said, yeah, you got it right, or no, you didn't get it right, try again. So I'll show that one. Let's see. Whoops, I'll stop presenting. Let's see. On the Whiteboard.Fi, I'm gonna push my board for fly swatter. So here's my fly swatter board. And now I'm going to push that to students. Again, current page only. And again, I made this the background and I made the fly swatter the foreground. Oh, yes, of course. It should have pushed. Oh, Karen, you have to sign in first.
I was playing around with it before. So when I'm trying to sign in, it's going to my account.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of confused.
I would try logging in from a different account. That's how I got myself to be the Maureen student that's not paying attention here by having another account. But I would try to sign in from another account if you can.
Okay.
Because I was having the same trouble. I was like, oh no, because I made this and then I have to make the Maureen account. So yeah, so this would be how to do fly swatter, and then you could say the thing or give the impression of the thing, and then student or description. I love doing descriptions and having descriptions in the target language and then having students find the object after I described it in the target language. So it's all target language fun. So that can be a fun way to play fly swatter. Next is textual annotations. And again, I love using color in my classroom. So what I will do is, let's say, okay, I want it to be a big line. I want it to be a solid line. And let's see. I have it on the wrong thing. Okay. It just keeps going on eraser. That's not good. Here, let's see if the other ones are working. That's not good. No, it's not. It's not showing the palette either. Aha, color palette. There we go. Oh, I made it blank on purpose. Remember I made the circle, so I made it blank and then I couldn't find it. That was what was happening. Because the palette is the same color that it is representing. So let's say I'm going to red. It's going to change to red. So I made it clear so I couldn't find the palette anymore. So that was my bad. So if let's say I said students underline the subjects in red. So this thing has been announced to the Helvetians through spies. So the thing is going to be the subject here. And then I'm going to say, and you know what you should do? You should box the verb. And I'm going to make it. So then I'll go through and like, ooh, this one's tough because it's enunciata. So I'll make them box the verb here. And so they'll be able to do textual annotations however I want them to do textual annotations by just uploading a screenshot. And then it's usually easiest if I can flatten it to take it to the background. Sometimes the functionality is a little weirder, but okay, I'm going to bring that back. And so then they can't move the background. That's something I do encounter sometimes. Using that is that sometimes students will do things and then they'll move the whole background. So it's really important to flatten the image and make sure you're moving it to the back. So you can press this little button to flatten the image so it stays on the back there. All right. Here's another thing. I love doing maps. So what I might do is have students label a map, and they can either label it with a dot or an emoji or whatever they want to do. So I might say to them, for example, where is Hispania? And I want them to put a star on Hispania. And so then I'll check everyone's whiteboards and see if they're going to put a star on Hispania. And here, let's see if you all know where Hispania is. Oh, did it push? Yes. Excellent. Let's see. Do we know where Hispania is? Yay! Excellent! Woohoo! Great job. And that way I can see all the students at once and see what they're doing. Next, and this is all in the slide doc. So if you have any questions, you can reference the slide doc to see that as well. So something I love to do are social emotional check-ins. I think this is sleepy, but I'm not really sure. There's a hand over the mouth. I would say it's sleepy. So we have happy, we have sad, we have sleepy, and we have angry. How are you feeling today? Let's see how the students are feeling today. See how y'all are feeling today. I'm feeling a little tired personally. I say goodbye to my seniors today. Okay, so it's getting ready. Pushing whiteboard, please wait. Sometimes it takes a minute. Especially with the emojis and big pictures, it can take a little bit of time. Come on. Oh, let's try it again. One more time. Come on. I know you're working really hard. Come on, computer. I know what it feels like. Well, what you'd be trying to get the students to do is circle. Let's say I'm not feeling good or this person's feeling great. So you'd push that to students and they would be able to do that. Next, what is going on in this picture? This is from the New York Times series, What is Going On in This Picture? And it looks like a bunch of wrestlers doing the limbo to me. And so I would have students kind of describe, we have people playing music, we have people doing the limbo. You might be able to get some fun prepositions in there. They're going under the bar. You could do, they are Latin mutantes, they're people who are wrestling. And so there's a bunch of pictures like this that are just so much fun. This one is just kind of just describe what's going on and try to use as much vocabulary as possible. We got a lot of different colors in here. We have the blue, we have the green, we have the purple. We have people wearing masks. So there's a lot of interesting vocabulary. We have a guitar, we have a hat. So there's a lot of things that students could label or students could talk about if you were to show all the students the picture. And what's nice about this is you can use this without even an overhead screen. Let's say you wanted to have a conversation with your students. You could just push a picture to your students and then have the conversation in class. And again, the New York Times has a whole series of what's going on in this picture where it's interesting pictures you can talk about. Next, you can do good old traditional whiteboard Pictionary. So I might send the word flos to my students and they would know that in Latin, flos means flower. That's my attempt to draw a flower. But you could also say, ooh, let's see, is there an emoji for this? There might be, maybe not. Oh yeah, there is. So maybe you don't want to draw, but you can use an emoji. And I try to line it up so that my students can have that option as well, because I know some students are pretty self-conscious about drawing. So it's nice when they can have the option to find an emoji too, and they can do that as well. So I've been trying to pick words for Pictionary that can also be represented in the emojis. And there are a lot of emojis in here. So I did one day, we did the weather. Another day, we were doing shapes. Another day, we were doing animals, which was so fun. And it was just a fun activity and nice to review. Here, you can have students put events in order because these move. These text boxes move like little shapes. So I would have students, in this case, read Caesar Book 1, sections 1 through 7, and then put them in order. So here's the order now. Orgetorix made a conspiracy. Caesar went to Gaul. Orgetorix is killed. Orgetorix breaks down, Caesar breaks down the bridge. And so, so now we're gonna have to change this up a little. Orgetorix made the conspiracy, he's killed. Then Caesar went to Gaul. Then Caesar broke down the bridge. So that's the order of events. So this would be just a nice kind of homework check. Did students understand what was going on? Did they comprehend it? You could do this in the target language as well. It's just kind of a fun way to do a jumble quickly. And let's see. Oh, yes. And we have responding answers to questions. I love that using Whiteboard.Fi allows students to answer by typing. It allows them to answer with emojis or pictures, and they can handwrite it if they want. All these things are possible. So I think that's a definite advantage it has over traditional whiteboards, is that students have these added benefits here. So you can use it for questions and answers. I used to use Pear Deck a lot, and I'm not gonna knock Pear Deck because I really like Pear Deck, but my students got a little sick of Pear Deck. So that's why I started using Whiteboard.Fi, because by using Whiteboard.Fi, students said they liked that it was quick, they liked that they could get immediate feedback from me on it, and I liked honestly that I could see all of it at once. You can on Pear Deck as well, but I really like this. I also like that you can set it up in advance and go through it so quickly, but it does have its drawbacks, because if you have the free version, it only lasts for 2 hours. So that is a drawback, but I haven't found it to be so much of a drawback that I wouldn't keep using it. I really do enjoy it. And if you do get the paid version, you can get permanent boards, and you can also do chat back and forth with students. So those are some definite advantages. Finally, I use it for good old multiple choice and flippity questions. So if I'm going to do flippity quiz show, or if I'm just going to have a multiple choice review, I'll have students circle the answer. It seems that, I know this is kind of boring, but they think it's way more fun. So let's say they think the answer is A, and then they'd erase it, and then they would they'd do it again. So they like, okay, that one's A, that one's B. So I would just have the same board for the whole thing we were going over. So it's pretty easy, I think. It's pretty simple to use, and I just think it's a lot of fun. Okay, so I am going to go back to the presentation now. Again, if you go through the types that we went over, we have bingo, fly swatter, text annotation, maps, SEL check-ins, what is going on, Pictionary, jumble, answering questions, and choosing an answer. All right, so I've been talking a lot. Oh, I see some things in the chat. Excellent. Yeah, when the boards don't sync, can be hard. And like we just saw, sometimes it can be hard when the boards, and I think that's because I had so many pictures on it once. But I think usually when I use it, I set it up in advance with fewer pictures and have students really add the pictures. So they tend to sync a little bit better. Okay, yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna stop screen sharing because it's your turn to try. So if you want me to jump on a Whiteboard.Fi that you wanna do, or if you wanna go back on a Whiteboard.Fi, I can make a new Whiteboard.Fi because it was about to run out. Just let me know what you would wanna do, or if you have questions about anything. I'm super happy to answer those.